need of learning, what they want to know, what they want to learn, and in which way they want to learn. That interest was not percolated in the previous curriculum, that is 19th and 20th century curriculum. So it was totally dependent on the teacher-centric, teacher framework. What the teacher will say, what the teacher will teach, learner we are forced to learn all these things and have a record of with it and having a learning. But if we are moving on to the 21st century scenario, here the curriculum is totally student-centered curriculum, learner-centered curriculum. That means the learning that will be done on the basis of the needs, demands of the learners, of students. Exactly what is their necessity of learning that is required for them in real life when they will be move on to the professional world or in the real life situations. Okay, so how the modality of the teaching process will be conducted? It is not the thing that here you see in previous, the teacher is just delivering lecture, writing down something onto the green board, and students are just trying to collect the informations, store it over there, and try to recapitulate it and utilize that thing in real life. But in case of 21st century curriculum, that is the student-centered modality of the learning. Here it is not the thing that teacher will teach something. Here you see the different learners, they are getting or sharing the informations from the different internet resources that they're sitting in front of the computer or laptop. On the basis of particular aspect, they're getting lots of information, and immediately they're contacting with the teachers regarding the points that they have collected, exactly how they have collected, right? And exactly what is the necessary points that are required or satisfied for the particular perspective of topic that is to be taught. Not only that, here what happens is that in the particular lesson, what the teacher will do, teacher will share. Teacher will not delivering only lecture. Teacher will involve the learners in the different frame of activities related to the particular topic he or she is going to teach. And students, they are in a group performing their activity, doing their activities and sharing the different parts of their activities among them so that they can complete out the activities and reaching to a particular decision. And automatically that decisions will be shared with the teacher here, and teacher will have a discussions about their work, their outcome they have reached, and reaching to the conclusion that what exactly the outcome of the activities and what exactly they have learned. So it is compacted with the learner interactions and activity, and totally what topics that is to be taught, that is also to be decided not by the teacher, but also on the basis of the necessity or demand at present situations for the student when they will be moving out of the college or university, when they will be in the professional life, exactly what type of knowledge or understanding they require. On the basis of that, the topic will be settled up by the teacher. So here it is totally the student-centric learning approach, not the directly from the teacher. That is one-to-one. Here it is one-to-many and many-to-many approaches. So teacher is not only teaching to the students, but also peer learners. They are also teaching to their peers, because whenever an activity is settled, they have an interaction, they have the sharing of their views among themselves. So automatically one particular student, they are performing well in particular part of the activity, they're sharing their output or opinion to the other students, and in that way mutual learning is done in between the student, and the result or outcome is directly sent to the teacher for their final judgment or final decisions about the particular activity. And in that way, the effective learning will be generated by the sharing mode. So this is the student-centric learning approach, and that is introduced in the 21st century curriculum. Okay, so if we are moving on to the next one, yeah. So here I have discussed exactly the modality of the teaching learning, that is how it is changed or shifted from the previous curriculum to the present 21st century curriculum. Now the thing is that only the setting up the plan, only giving the ideas, that are not only the part of the curriculum, but how that is to be implemented in the exactly the teaching learning environment, that must have to be specified in the curriculum. So teaching learning effect implementations means the learning approaches, what the student learn, how the student learn in the 21st century curriculum, because the curriculum becomes learner centric. As per my discussions with the first slide, it will be the learner centric. The topics will be according to the needs and demands of the learner on the real life scenario. The approaches or modality will be not directly the lecture by the teacher to the students, but also involving the students in resource sharing from the network resources, as well as involving them, students, in the activities, and from there on collecting the informations and finding out decisions for the particular activity and generating the outcome of the learning that is developed by this. So this is the portfolio of the teaching. Now, how then, what the learning changes, what are the patterns of the changes that are to be done in learning, which is to be included in the curriculum? So in that case, we are also having a discussions that what was the learning framework from the part of the teacher in the traditional method, that means the 19th century and 20th century curriculum, and exactly what are required, what are introduced into the 21st century curriculum. Now, as I've told you, in the previous curriculum, that is 19th or 20th century curriculum, the teacher was the main focus of the curriculum transaction. So they are only the transactor. Okay, they are the lecture to be delivered to the students, and students are only having just getting down the points, remembering and doing effectively on the basis of the instruction provided by the teacher. But in 21st century, teacher is a facilitator, guide. Teacher is not thinking of that student does not know anything. They think of student have already certain knowledges about these things. They have already experiences from the environment with respect to the particular topic. So let's see what the student have the experiences and knowledge regarding this, and nurturing onto that, teacher will reaching to a modified informations, modified knowledge in the 21st century curriculum transactions. So if I'm just point-wise compare exactly what are the features of the teaching in the traditional learning process, and what are the features in the today's learning, the 21st century learning process. First, we have the discussion in the traditional learning. That means that was introduced for the 19th century or 20th century curriculum framework. That was totally time-based. The framework was totally time-based teaching learning process. One particular class, that is 1 minute or 40 minutes, a particular topic that is to be completed within that stipulated period with respect to the teacher's lecture as well as the interactions of the student. The teacher cannot go beyond this. If it is required for the students, then what happens? And second, if the teacher is doing some interactions, some activities with the student, it takes a long time. So the particular topic cannot be completed in that particular time period. That was happened in the traditional framework because that was a time frame, fixed time-based scheduling. Second aspect, in the traditional teaching approaches that was in previous curriculum framework, the main focusing was the memorizations. I have told you the teacher is delivering a lecture from his dais and students are trying to grasp what the teacher is telling or delivering the lecture, try to memorize. And if it is required, they will try to recapitulate it and try to apply it in the real life. So it was totally focused on the memorizing event, not on the understanding and applying event. And what happens is that in that particular curriculum, teacher has learned, taught something in the class, right? And students have faced the situations in real life which is very related to that particular thing which is taught in the class. But student cannot understand how that particular situation can be explained with respect to the concept that is already given by the teacher, because they don't have that particular applicability. They have only tried to memorize the things that the teacher has taught to them. That was eventually done in the older curriculum. Okay. And the third factor, that was the independent work that was focused in the older curriculum. Independent work, what does it mean? That means it is one-to-one. I have already told it was one-to-one relationship with the teacher and student. When the teacher is delivering a particular lecture, one particular student may be interested. They may have a questions, they may talk with them, but they don't know, that particular student don't know what the other student think of about that factor. Whether they are in the advanced stage of them, whether they are thinking it differently, that is not possible to be grasped by that particular student, because sharing was not done over there. Teacher is delivering the lecture, teacher will ask the questions to the directly of particular students, and student will try to give the answer according to their thought process that they have done with respect to the memorizations of the teacher's talk. So there was not the concept of group activities, peer-to-peer sharing, that was not there. So automatically the knowledge was encrypted to a particular fixed domain that is on the basis of that particular learner only. They were not able to share their views with the others because that was not there. Now the fourth point, that exactly then in the case of traditional learning in the previous curriculum, what type of development was there for the learners after the teaching learning process being completed? Now this development or outcome that we are, as we know, we are categorized, differentiated on the basis of the Bloom's taxonomy, right? So in the Bloom's taxonomy, there are the three lower domain of outcome development. There is the knowledge, comprehensions, and applications. So in case of traditional learning or older form of curriculum framework, only this lower level of development was done for the teacher. Knowledge was developed because information the students were extracting from the teacher's talk or teachers deliver. Little bit of understanding that was developed in the student, and that understanding only percolating to that part which is taught by the teacher in the classroom. No real life connectivity was there. Okay. An application was generated, but what type of applications? Only the examples the teachers have provided in the class. On the basis of that, the teacher student get the ideas that this type of concept may be applied to that particular situation. But when the students are facing a different situation which may have a part linkage with their concept, they were unable to apply because they don't know how to tackle up the new situations with respect to the concept that is developed by the teachers teaching in the classroom. So these three lower level of developments were possible to be done in the older curriculum framework. And obviously, I've already told that it was totally, the teaching methodology was totally textbook driven. Teacher was limited to that part which was written into the textbook. If the student wants to know more, if the students have a certain type of inquisitiveness in their mind, which may diverge the concept that is written in the textbook in a different way, there was no scope of having these discussions with the teachers, because it was totally teacher driven. The curriculum totally teacher driven. Student has no scope of discussing these things. So what the students were there, they were the passive learners. They don't have the chances for the active participations. They cannot import their ideas, their knowledge, their needs in front of the teachers. So these were the certain limitations that was there in the traditional learning. So it is now in case of 21st century learning, since the teacher modality is converted as a facilitator, So automatically, that the process of learning, that is also changed. Here it is totally fixed up as an outcome based. What is taught, that is not necessary. It is necessary exactly what is the result generated after something is taught by the student, where the students has the capability of enunciating that particular topic to the other, where the student has developed their power of applicability for utilizing that concept in the different type of real life situation, whether the students are able to construct newer things, new things with respect to the concept that is taught, that is mandatory. So it is outcome based, it is result oriented, and exactly what the outcome or development students are done, that is to be there in the 21st century curriculum. Second, it focuses exactly what students know. I have told you here, when the teacher is a facilitator in 21st century curriculum, it is not thought of. The students are coming down from with an empty brain, having nothing in the background, having no knowledge and experience. No, it is already considered. Students have the lots of informations and experiences related to the topic, and that may be obtained from the different outsourcing internal resources, that may be from their experiences in real life. So it is necessary for the teacher first to come to know exactly what the student know about that particular topic, then can move on to the discussions, not start the deliberation directly. Because if that deliberation is directly started, only the information is directly given to the teacher to the student, and student will have no options just to remember these things and utilize these things in real life. So here in 21st century curriculum learning methods, it focuses firstly, the teacher should know exactly what the student know, what they have the idea about the topic with respect to their experiences in real life. And the third factor, teaching is not done in one-to-one basis, and then effective learning, totality of learning will not be developed. Teaching will be done one to many and many to one conventions. That means only teacher is not talking with the students or giving some assignment or giving some problems. Teacher will set up the different activities, involve the different students. You are observing here. Here a teacher is showing something on the globe, mapping. So it can be done if I'm following up the traditional learning. The teacher just pointing out the area in the globe and can ask the student exactly what is this country, what is this state representing here. Teacher is not doing this. See, all the students are gathering round the globe. Okay, they're observing exactly what is the map, what is the area where the rivers exist, which is the dimensions of that particular country in the globe scenario. And teacher is just assisting or guiding to observe the map properly, to identify any area of the country or state. So here is a collaboration work done. So learning is not by the done only due to the teacher's talk. It is done by the collaborating effect of the learners. Okay, teacher is assisting, teacher is guiding, giving support for this learning. So this is the important inclusions in the 21st century curriculum, today's learning method. And automatically, here the higher level of development or outcome of the students are expected. Though they will have the knowledge, they will gather the knowledge, they will develop the comprehension and application, but exactly what are the new things that are developed? They will have the power of synthesis, analysis. What does it mean? Synthesis. This already student knows something, having certain experiences, and when the teacher giving the idea of a new thing, they try to synthesize their ideas along with the ideas provided by the teacher and try to analyze exactly what is the situation, how it works, and automatically they will reach to an evaluation part. What is justified, what is necessary, what is exactly the result. So here in this 21st century curriculum learning methodology, other than the lower level development of the student, the analysis, synthesis, and evaluation power perspective that are also developed. So this is a chance that is incorporated in the 21st century for the development of the learner, and they becomes an all-round development, because their knowledge, power of applicability, power of analysis, synthesizing different events, reaching to an evaluation of justified decisions, all these things are developed within a particular student after completion of a successful sessions with the teacher. Now, there is a very important another point that is also included in the today's learning point, which is not in the traditional. That is a research driven means research driven. All the students are doing PhDs. No, research driven means student will get the chance to collect the different information from different sites, different resources. Student may go through the papers written by the different eminent researchers onto the topic that is to be taught, and therefore they will collect the informations, and all those informations, they are analyzed and verified in the classroom when the teacher will discuss that particular topics in the classroom. So directly the students are allowed to collect the informations, learn by themselves, sharing their learning with the teachers, generating a proper outcome, and reaching to an effective learning. Okay, so this is the comparative study that I have told you, that is what effectivity the today's learnings are generated with respect to the traditional learning that was done in the older curriculum. Okay, now I have told you, some of the pillars, some of the ingredients on the basis of curriculum was developed. But I've told you that is a student, teacher, learning environment, okay, strategy of teaching. So I've already discussed that exactly what the learning changes that are introduced in the 21st century, depending on the needs and demands compared to the older century curriculums. Now I'm coming to exactly what are the teacher changes in the teacher's approach that is necessary, that is implemented in the 21st century curriculum, which were not necessary in the traditional one, that is the 19th century or 20th century. So again, we have a discussion in that way, that first we observe exactly what were the requirements for the teachers at the traditional level of the curriculum, and then we'll discuss exactly what is the requirement of the today's teacher, that is 21st century teachers. Now, in case of traditional curriculum, that means before 21st century, teacher was required to have a minimum preparations. It is not necessary for the teacher to have to prepare themselves in a proper way, where they can share their ideas with the student. They can be able to give answers to the different questions that are generated with the mind of the students with respect to the particular thing that is taught. Because in that traditional method, it was totally textbook driven, a particular concise topic that is to be taught by the teacher to the lecture method. So teacher has to only keep in mind the total concept of the content. That's all. And with that, with respect to that, teacher was able in the traditional form of curriculum to teach the students, because what the student will ask, in that case, student will also ask some of the stereotypic questions which are generated from the teacher's delivery, not some of the their thought-provoking questions, divergent questions, because that is not the chances over there. Students were not allowed over there because it is concise only to the textbook content in the traditional frame of curriculum. So minimum preparations, teacher was not required to have a larger preparations for their classes. Second aspect was there for the traditional teachers, there are few expectations in the performance. It was not the thing that where the teacher is able to develop a good learner. No, that was not the expectation from traditional curriculum. What expectation? If the teacher is possible to complete a particular topic and can make the student understand in such a way so that they are able to give answers to the questions in the examinations, then it will be okay. So that was the expectations that was done for the teachers, the traditional framework. Right. Now, automatically what was required? Only the competence in academic subject matter. That means if the student know, teacher, sorry, if the teacher know the particular subject very well, if the teacher have a very good go through about the particular content, he was able to teach in the class, he will able to taught the student, make them understand particular topic, that's all. But what more? A concept is not encapsulated within that particular content that is fixed into the textbook content. Lots of things are there which the student wants to know, but there was no chance. So competence in subject matter was only the requirement for the traditional curriculum. No more other studies, no more other experiences that the teachers are required, right? And the fourth in the traditional curriculum, that is liking children was enough. It was not the question whether the whole classes, all the students have understood that particular topic, whether they have a particular knowledge and experiences with respect to the particular topic. That was not the question. That was not asked. That was not required in the traditional curriculum. Only students are satisfied. Students are satisfied with the teachers. They are getting the knowledges properly. Their syllabus is completed in proper time. They are able to give the exam. That was the requirement. So it was limited, the traditional curriculum. And that's why automatically no training was necessary for the teacher. Only academic knowledge is enough to teach. But you see, at present, the teacher is required to have a training. Teacher has to know exactly what the student wants to know from him, exactly what is the requirement, and in what way the teacher can present the particular topic so that the student can grab it and can utilize that thing in the real life. So that is the requirement that is observed in the 21st century system, and automatically that is introduced. So automatically for the today's teacher, that is the 21st century teacher, the requirements different from this traditional. First, the teacher requires an extensive preparations and training. Teacher not only has to get only the ID knowledge of the particular topic, they have to do lots of backup preparations, that how to make that particular topic interesting to the student. What may be the examples that can be percolated at the time of delivery of the particular talk in front of the student, so that the student can come to know about the particular topic and keep a liaison with the real life situations. So that teacher has to give an extensive preparations. And the preparation is not like that, only sitting in a particular room at home and just chalking out a plan for the teaching, which is defined as a, we can define in our 21st century language, that is the learning design. No, that is only not necessary, because how that plan can be formed, teacher has to know. Firstly, teacher has to know exactly what the 21st century learners demand, what they want to know, and what is the way by which they want to know that things. So it requires a training. Without having the training, the teacher cannot do the proper planning and preparations for the teaching, and automatically the executions will not be effective. So this is the first requirement for the today's teacher. Second, there is a knowledge about the pedagogy. Pedagogy is the scientific step-by-step analysis of the proceeding of a content in the form of teaching. So what are the steps the teacher has to follow up? Whenever teacher is starting a lesson, how it can be started? Directly moving on to the definitions, explanations, problem? No. First, teacher has to create the environment by which the student come to know exactly what is going to be taught and why it is going to be taught. And then gradually, keeping liaison with this environment that is a teacher is created at the point of introductions, the teacher can proceed up the main content part that is to be taught. So, and after that, there must have a chance that student must be involved in a different work collaboratively, whether they can utilize the concept that is taught by the teacher sometimes back, and have a mutual sharing among the peers, generating outcome, and then giving the outcome back to the teachers in the classroom. Teacher will discuss about the outcome and finalizing it out. And then there must have a consolidations part where the teacher has to recapitulate the learner exactly what is taught, how it is to be taught, and in which decisions they have reached. So these are the different stages that is to be followed. So the teacher must have to know, have the knowledge of all the stages that are to be formed to make a student understanding a particular topic in a total perspective, in the all-round perspective. So the second point. And third point, teacher must have a certified in the area of expertizations. There are so many people, they may have the knowledge in different issues. Okay, so only you have the knowledge, that is not enough for teaching to the students. You must have a certifications. Certifications means your knowledge must have been verified by a particular authoritative concern that your knowledge is proper, correct, and ready to deliver. So if that particular certifications is not done, he or she cannot be an eligible teacher for the students in the case of 21st century. Okay. And the fourth, the most important point that is introduced, is held accountable for every student's learning. Teacher is not focusing onto a particular student and should not focus onto the students only who are sitting onto the first bench. It is the responsibility of the teacher to pinning each and every student exactly all of them have learned the particular topic, whether all the power of applicability is generated among each and every students. That is to be checked in 21st century curriculum by the teacher. Because mastery level learning, that must be done by in the student by the teacher. That is 80% of the students must accumulate 80% of the talk delivered by the teacher at least. So there should have an one-to-one interactions, each and every student, and teacher has to try to understand if there is a problem, individual student try to sort it out and move on to the teaching process thereon. So individual is very much important, right? And the fifth, that is the evaluations. Normally, at the end of a particular teaching learning sessions, the teacher has to evaluate that exactly in this class in 40 minutes, 45 minutes or 1 hour class, what the teacher has taught, students have learned, have understood everything. So how this evaluation was done previously? That was done just putting down some of the questions, either in the verbal or non-verbal form, getting the answers, and teachers are going through the answers and check whether the proper understanding or applicability is generated in the teachers, students or not. But that is not the thing. Whether the students have developed their activation of psychomotor domain, whether the activities, the students are efficient to do the activities, whether the students are able to sort out the different problems, that is to be judged or evaluated at the end of the session. So that is done by the minor projects. So teacher will assign smaller project in the different groups of the students, giving certain guidance about on the project theme, and just giving a guidance on the path by which the student can proceed on to the project. The student will, and that project will be very much limited, which can be completed within 10 or 15 minutes durations within the class. There is a small group project that can be assigned. Student will do those activities, generating the outcome and discuss individually, group wise with the teacher. And from there on, teacher come to know exactly the understanding, there is the comprehensions as well as the applicability of the students are developed. So this type of evaluation process must be introduced into the 21st century curriculum framework, right? So we have discussed about the aspect of the teacher in comparative to the traditional one to the 21st century. So now, if we are combining all those discussions, can you just observe that exactly what is the role of a teacher now? I am not considering teacher as a teacher. I am considering him as a facilitator. I am not focusing to a one-to-one direct like talk deliberation or lecture. I'm focusing onto the activity. And that activity is not only the manual activity, that may be the different activity where they can utilize the internet resources, where they can use the different application software, different apps of the net resources, where they can utilize the different other social media for this. So all these things are monitored, controlled, and managed by the teacher. So what is the role of the teacher in 21st century curriculum? Teacher is the ultimate multitasker and also enforces the learner to be the multitasker, where eventually lots of informations can be collected in different forms. So multitasker means the what exactly the role features of the teacher. Teacher are focused here in three ways, in three modalities: connected, constructive, and communicative. These are the three roles by which teachers are utilizing the globalizations that I've already discussed, teacher utilizing the different technological innovation, technological tools, and develop the ultimate learning of the students. Now, what do you mean by connected? What are these three features? What does it mean the connected? Connected means the student teacher himself will be engaged, as well as he or she will engage the students in different technology to teach critical thinking and problem solving skill. Because here, learning is not done only by the teacher's talk. Learning is done by the peer sharing. Learning is done by applying the students' creative thoughts, utilizing into the particular topic that is discussed. Students are led in a particular activity, in a particular project, and therefrom their ideas are collected and learning is developed by the teacher to the student with respect to their experiences to that activity. So there is a chance of critical thinking and problem solving skill. So this skill must be engaged in 21st century curriculum by the teacher, also to the student. Second, there is a constructive approach. What does it indicate? It indicates the assessment. I have told already the evaluation perspective will be there at the very end of the class by the teacher through different smaller projects. But that evaluations is not the complete evaluation. There must have a self-assessment technique. That means student must have to evaluate himself or herself on the basis of the knowledge or understanding that has been developed. So teacher will engage the students or help the students just to how he or she can evaluate himself or herself on the perspective of knowledge or understanding as developed. Okay, so why it is required? Why it is required? See, whenever an external evaluator judges, it is directly the external viewpoint of judging or observing the performance. But it may so happen that one particular student may have a different needs, different necessity, and he has reached to that destinations, but he has not reached to the destination which supposed to be developed by the teacher. So what we want, what the field want exactly the student will develop according to their wish, but to be fitted in the real life situation. So self-assessment will justify exactly what the student want to be and exactly what they are after the particular teaching learning session being over. So self-assessment that should be there in the within the evaluation technique, along with the project assessment by the teacher in the 21st century curriculum for the teaching learning system. And the third modality in the multitasking approach, there is a communicative. So globalization aspects should be introduced. That means only learning is not percolated by the teachers within a classroom. I've already, firstly, I've told you. Now see, you are sharing the views from me. Okay, I'm not your university teacher. I'm not teaching you in the classroom. So I'm in a remote distance and sharing my views. And from there on, you are trying to learn something. So totally the field is globalized and opened up. Any expertizations, any experiences that can be shared. So these are the three main features for the role of the teacher that is to be introduced, that is introduced in the 21st century curriculum. That is connected, constructive, and communicative, which will make a teacher the ultimate multitasker and also, in turn, make the students or learner to be the multitasker. Okay. Now the thing is that, so this part is over. Now, when a curriculum is designed, that means framework is done on the basis of content, exactly what we are introducing over there. We are introducing some of the common core state standard, which can be called as CCSS, which was predicted in 2010. That was there in the traditional curriculum, and that is also to be introduced in the 21st century curriculum, which focuses only the 3 R's. 3 R's means reading, writing, and sense of arithmetic. That means curriculum was focused just to learn the student, that to make the student ready, properly read something, writing down something properly, and as well as have a logical calculation. That was the fixed 3 aspects that was done in the common core standard, that was in the traditional curriculum, as well as that was introduced in the 21st century curriculum also. But after that, along with it, another thing which was not there in the previous curriculum that was introduced here, that is, this 4-state standard is integrated with P21, that is partnership with 21st century skills. That was partnership with the 21st century skills. So 4-state standard was there. Along with that, it was integrated with 21st century skills. What the 21st century skills, along with my discussions previously, it focuses on 4C. 4C means the critical thinking, communication, collaboration, and creativity. These are the 4 skills that are integrated with the common core state standard of 3 R's to form the 21st century curriculum. So it's very much clear. Direct knowledge is necessary, but it is not the only thing for learning. The main focus is to development of the skills. There is a power of critical thinking, power of communication, collaborating approach, and utilizing the divergent thoughts in the lesson that are necessary. So this integration is done in 21st century curriculum framework. What integration? The partnership of the core state standard along with the P21, that is the 21st century skills. So the 21st century curriculum becomes only 3R plus 4 C's. That means reading, writing, and arithmetical reasoning will be there. Along with that, critical thinking, power of communications, collaborating approach, and creativity, that also to be introduced into the 21st century curriculum. So this integration is excellently done in 21st century curriculum, and it focuses on to the P21. Core standard will be there. That must have there, because if you don't have any background, you cannot construct a building. If you don't have a ground floor, you cannot move on to the first floor or second floor. So ground floor, that base should be there with respect to the common state standard. But your power to develop more floor above the ground floor, that is also required, and that is connected with the your skills, that is the 4 C's. So it is the compact 21st century compact of 3 R's and 4 C's. Okay. Now, so if we are jotting down these things, so what exactly we have come across in 21st century curriculum? The milestone for improving learning and education indicated to achieve the 21st century curriculum level. Educators must integrate with over 75% future skill. So it is very much focusing that 21st century skill in the pictures you are observing is very much focusing to the problem solving, creativity, innovation approach, information literacy, critical thinking, and power of communications. These are the extended form of 21st century skills that are focused. And what is our target in 21st century curriculum transactor? What is the target? That through this curriculum, these skills must be developed within the student. They must be able to activate these skills in real life platform, right? So if we try to get the idea of the instruction pattern that is to be provided by the teacher to the student in 21st century, what are the different parts, different elements of the instructions in the 21st century teacher in that way? Three parts: learning content, which was directly focused onto the course standard, skills, and third, connections of the skill and learning with the real life situations. It is very much necessary. Only skill is developed. I can do certain thing, I can construct certain thing. It's not necessary only. Whether that idea of construction is possible to me to apply in real life, to sorting out the different problems in real life, which can make our life or our friends' life better, that is necessary. So instructions that is populated by the teacher in 21st century, it must have the three way approaches. Should have a learning content, should have the P21 skills, and there should have a liaison with the real life situation. These three must be integrated to develop the 21st century curriculum instructions. Okay. Now, if on the basis of these discussions, we reach to a particular state, exactly what are the learning approaches that we may have in 21st century curriculum? So we may have the problem-based learning, cooperative learning, and link knowledge with the real world. I've already told you that instructions is connected to three aspects: learning content, skills, and real life. So on the basis of that, different learning approaches that are developed and that are introduced into the 21st century curriculum. The first, I have told you that problem-based learning. That means student will not be taught any topic directly. They will assign some of the problems. They will give the guidance by the teacher to sort out the problems. Student will himself try to solve the problems, try to generate the outcome of the problem after being solutions, and having a discussions with the teacher and reaching to a decisions about the problem. So in that way, the learning will be developed. In that way, the power of analysis will be developed. And second, there is a cooperative learning. That means there should have peer-to-peer learning. Okay, sharing will be done between the two students. Only one teacher to one student performance will not be there. Student will share their views, discuss with the teachers. So there should have a cooperative learning. And obviously, all these learning must have a connection with the real life world that I've already told, so that the student must have a capacity to develop the problems in real life, right? And second, already I've discussed, along with this learning, we have to incorporate or integrate the multimedia tools. That is the ready offer. The students are the digital student at present. You are the digital student. You are more active with the different social media, with the different digital apps. So you are getting lots of information, connectivity with respect to that. So learning must introduce these things. Okay, like in case of problem solving, critical thinking, we can involve the portfolios, web quests, wiki, Google site, digital storytelling method, e-portfolios, blogs. All these can be utilized at the time of teaching, which the student can share to collect the information from their own and can share it with the teachers to generate an outcome-based learning. Okay. The teaching can be done with respect to the different gaming techniques. Teacher may construct the system with respect to the game, and that game may have a mock availability in the internet also. The student can play the video games to their laptops placed at their desks and can share the different parts of their games as well as the outcome with the teacher to generate a particular learning outcome on the basis of particular topic. So those video game technologies, videos, YouTube videos that are also to be integrated in the learning strategy or instructional methodology of the teaching for the 21st century. Okay, so these are the more or less the approach, but you see, each and every case, lots of problem arises whenever new things or new innovations, new concept is in trying to introduce. Lots of problem arises in real life. So automatically this 21st century curriculum on the basis of the framework that I have discussed, it also faces lots of problems which may be considered as the challenges. Obviously these challenges are gradually overcome, and I think majorly it will be solved, and the curriculum can be transacted very properly. Like I'm just giving a brief of the problems or challenges at present the 21st century curriculum faces. Like number one, the teaching in a multicultural society. The students coming down from the different cultural environment, there are lots of limitations in the different cultural environment which create a conflict in the learning environment, and becomes difficult for the teacher to overcome this. So automatically a barrier of learning is developed. Okay. Second, challenges or obstructions, that is teaching in a standard based environment. Whenever I'm fixing up the standard course standard that I've already discussed, all the students must have the effort to agree with this course standard. If there are certain, we have the NAC present, it is identified students of the different categories. There may be the slow learners, there may be the advanced learners. Okay, so all the students cannot be moved, cannot be transferred to a common standard. So how the curriculum the methodology of the curriculum that is predicted in 21st century can be implemented? Because different strategies are applied for the different type of learners, different from general learners, slow learners, and advanced learners. So it is a problem, and that is to be that can be sorted out in a different partial methodological approach of the teachings. Now the third factor, that is the teaching with the constructions of the meaning, experiences, doing some activity, getting some experiences, generating an output. After that, if it is asked, student, what you have done exactly now? What does it mean which you have formed now? Can't answer, because they have only the experiences. They don't know how to define that particular topic. So whenever moving on to the application area, our definition cannot be constructed. That is another limitations. Then teaching, fourth challenges, that is the teaching for active learning. Always it is not possible for collaboration effect or interactivity. That may be the problem for different students. Okay. Now teaching with new views about the abilities. So when the students are asked about their views, their necessity, when they're just giving some of the new ideas, now it becomes very difficult for us to introduce that thing in our teaching strategy, right? Because it is already planned and yet to be transacted. So the teacher becomes a curriculum format, they becomes very difficult to introduce the newer views of the students. So automatically what the student wants to know, in some cases that are not introduced in the curriculum framework. 7, accountability for each and every student, very difficult. If the teacher to student ratio is 1 to 100 or 1 to 200, how it is possible to create the accountability of each and every student by the teacher? Okay. And another point, that is that technology, there may be a network glitches, network problem, there is a availability or problems in the technological tools which may obstruct the proceedings of the 21st century curriculum transaction. So above all, though these are the problems, these are the situations that are already globally trying to be overcome, and obviously that are completely overcome in near future. But the modality is that the 21st century curriculum must introduce the core state standard as well as the skill orientations in the teaching learning approaches. Students must learn not through the lecture method of deliberation, but with respect to the activity. Students must share their views among themselves. That is, peer learning must be there. Student must know exactly what they are learning and how they are learning. Okay, so this should be there in the curriculum, not only curriculum, this is there in the 21st century curriculum, but this must be there at the time of transacting the curriculum in real life. So that's the thing I have discussed about the 21st century curriculum. So now it is open to the forum. If you have the queries, questions, my dear students, I am asking to you as well as the respective professors, if you have the questions, if you have any discussions, you can share it with me. Yes, my learners from Quirino State University, my young friends. So if you have any problems, if you have doubts, or if you need one more clarifications to any points of it, please ask. And also the students of School of Education, Adams University, if you have any problems, any queries, or you want to have more discussions on a particular topic, you may ask. Please come on to the video and please ask me.
So I think, sir, there is no more question from the students' end. I think they have understood well. So thank you so much, sir. And I would like to request Mr. Abhishek Banerjee, Assistant Professor, School of Education, to give vote of thanks.
Thank you, ma'am. And thank you, Batista, sir. Thank you very much.
I can listen mo, Jiling.
Hello.
Hello, doctor. Sorry. I was not.
Abhishek?
Yes, sir.
Yes. Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Amal sir, for delivering such a wonderful topic about curriculum for the recent 21st century teaching learning process. And it is really a very enriching topic for the recent scenario of the world. So I again thank you, Mr. Amal Shankar Mukherjee, for the topic. And I would like to thank Dr. Bautista and Dr. Mahanti for organizing the international week, 2 months long faculty exchange program so nicely. And I also like to thank the IT team as well for their coordination and cooperation with us. And I would like to thank all the participants from both the university who had joined in every session so that this program would be a successful one. And with this, I'm ending the session for the day. And the next program or the session would be on the 1st of April. And the topic was, would be a very interesting one, that is ICT in education. And it will be delivered by Pranay Pandey, Assistant Professor at Amas University. So we are highly looking for the next topic. And with this, thank you all again to everyone. And with this, I'm ending for the day. So
For a while,
Thank you.
sir.
yes,
For
sir,
a while.
please.
Dr. Pragyan, we have another session on the 28th.
28?
Yeah, you overlook it, I guess.
Oh,
There is a session on April to March 28th.
28 March. Okay, yes, 28 March.
Yeah, on Monday.
So just we are checking.
Yeah, that's why I gave you a message a while back.
Yes, you have
yes.
written 28 April. So that 28 April. Just a minute, we are checking it.
Yes, doctor.
Yes, sir. It is confirmed. 28 March.
Yes. All right, the code for the attendance for our QSC students is AU7. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much to all of you.
Our speaker on Monday, Dr. Pragyan, is Dr. Jamina Kamayang, who is with us today.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
Okay, thank you.
We are highly looking for that, sir.
Dr. Pragyan, you are going to send the email, the link later?
Link, yes, sir. I'll send you the.
Thank you very much. And
Thank you, sir.
thank you, Sir Amir. Thank you very much. And to our Indian friends, thank you very much.
Thank you, Batista sir. Thanks to
Thank
all
you.
my colleagues and as well
Thank
as my
you.
students. Thank you.
Have a lovely weekend, sir.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
And see you on Monday.
Bye. In meeting.